We have a crisis in the world, tremendous crisis, and also crisis in our consciousness, in us. I see the urgency of change, radical revolution, mutation in the mind. I see it. It is necessary. There is complete quietness of the mind, and that which is silent has vast space. Only then that which is nameless comes into being.
This is Urgency of Change, the Krishnamurti podcast. Observe your opinions, watch them, and by watching, not rationalising, not justifying, just watching, you will see that opinions do not matter at all. Hello and welcome to episode 165 of Urgency of Change. Each episode of the Krishnamurti podcast is compiled from carefully chosen extracts from our archives, representing different approaches to many of the fundamental issues and questions we all face in our lives. This week's theme is Opinion and Judgement. Upcoming themes are stimulation, aloneness, and technology. This is a podcast from Krishnamurti Foundation Trust. Please visit our updated website at kfoundation.org, where you can find a new introduction to Krishnamurti, a growing collection of articles, a wide selection of quotes, and a new index of topics for easy access to carefully selected texts and recordings. Our online store stocks all available Krishnamurti books and ships worldwide. You can also find our regular quotes and videos on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Krishnamurti Foundation Trust. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a review or rating on Apple Podcasts, which helps our visibility. This week's episode on Opinion and Judgement has 5 sections. This first extract is from the second question and answer meeting in Ojai, 1984, titled, Why Cling to Opinions, Not Facts?
Why do we have opinions? The meaning of that word, opinion, means judgment, evaluation, preconceived concepts, the whole assertive, dogmatic opinions that each one has. Why do we carry so many opinions? Please inquire into this. Why do we have opinions at all? We have opinions about everything. And apparently they're so strong. And we think that is freedom to have 1,000 opinions about everything. That gives you a sense of freedom. At least you think one is free. Independence. It's my opinion, I'm right. So we have 1,000 opinions. And what are facts? What is fact? Fact is that which has happened, right? That which has happened. An incident or an accident is a fact which took place yesterday. And fact is also what is happening now, right? What is happening now, you and I are sitting here having a conversation, a dialogue, a question and answer and so on. That's a fact. What is not a fact is what may happen tomorrow. Right? I want to go together in this. What may happen when you leave this place and go on to God, something like that. So, fact is that which has happened, that which is happening. And fact is not what will happen. That's clear. What will happen is decided what is happening now. Right? I want to see this. The future is in the present. Right? The future is what you are now is the future, right? Modified, but basically what you are now. So the future is in the present, right? Order, right? And the past is also in the present, right? So the present contains all time. Please don't play with this as a theory, it is meaningless. It becomes a slogan if you repeat that. A cliche. And loses its meaning. But if you see that the past has a continuity in the present, right? And the future is the past modified the present, right? The past modified through the present. So the present, the now, contains all time, right? And if you don't change now, you will be exactly the same tomorrow, slightly modified. So the future is in the present. This is really quite important to understand, because what is action? I mustn't go into that's too hard. So, why do human beings cling to opinions and not facts? You can conclude from a fact an opinion. Right? A fact can be made into an opinion. But the opinion is not the fact. I may have an accident in a car, and you come along, see it, and you have umpteen opinions about it. But the fact is that I have an accident. So why do we have opinions at all about government, about religion, about this, about that, about literature, about poems? You follow? Why? Is it kind of game? Is it a kind of wastage of energy? Is it another form of chattering? Which is all a waste of time, waste of energy. Whereas if you stick to facts, which is what has happened, what is happening, that's only facts. I'm looking at the tree, that's a fact. Why do I have to have an opinion about that? If I'm a lumber merchant, thank God I'm not, and I say that's a valuable tree, let's cut it down, that's a different matter. But to have constant opinions about everything seems to one such a stupid waste of energy and time and, so useless. And judgment. The question is, what is judgment? A judge passes a sentence on somebody, criminal or some innocent man. There was a judge once whom the speaker happened to know. He was high up in the law and became a good judge. And one morning, after many years of judgment, he said, "What am I judging? What is truth? I'm passing judgment about everything according to precedent and so on. What is truth? Unless I find that out, judgment has no meaning." So, it's a custom in India in those days, about 58 years ago. He called his family and said, "I'm going to withdraw from the world, go off into the forest, into some distant village, meditate and find out. We're telling you the facts of it, not opinions about it." After 20 years or 40 years, I've forgotten the exact time, somebody brought him to listen to one of the talks that Kay was giving. And he came to see me, the speaker, afterwards, and he said, "You know what I've been doing all these 40 years? I started out to find truth, meditate, did all kinds of things. And I see now that I've been mesmerizing myself. I've been living in an illusion." Right? You understand all this? For an old man to acknowledge such statement and to say that's a fact, that needs a great deal of perception. So what is judgment? What is justice? Is there justice in the world? Please ask this question of yourself. Is there justice in the world? You're born in a good family, money, education, prosperity, success. And the other lives in a small ghetto, no future except poverty, constant struggle. Right? Where is justice in that? The Indians have a very good explanation, the Hindus, which is karma. You understand? Please, that word karma means to act, not all these things given to it. To act rightly at them now. Because if you act rightly now, the future is right. So, or if you act mischievously now, you pay for it next day or next life. Now, is there justice in the world? A crook can employ a clever lawyer and get away with it. This is happening every day. You are clever, I am not. You are beautiful, I am not. You're extraordinarily alive, I'm not. This is facts. So where is there justice? There's so-called legal justice, which is totally different from actual justice. Justice can only be found where there's freedom and compassion. Without that freedom and compassion which in its movement is intelligence, there is justice. Otherwise there is no justice in the world. This is, please, not an opinion, not a theory. But when you have this feeling of great compassion, which is quite a deep question, then there is, in that compassion, there is justice.
The second extract is from Krishnamurti's first talk in Saanen, 1983, titled Opinions Bring Conflict.
So what is peace? And how can we establish and lay the foundation so that we build on that, psychologically speaking? You understand, sirs? We are talking over together. I am not pointing out. The speaker is not the authority. But in talking over together, things become very clear. If we can talk over together without any bias, without any prejudice, having no conclusions or concepts what peace is, then we can go into it together. But if you have opinions about peace, what peace should be, then your inquiry stops. Opinions have no value, though the whole world is run on opinions. Opinions are limited. Your opinion or the speaker's opinion, opinions of the totalitarian governments, or the opinions of the church people at government and so on, they're all limited. Your judgment and the opinion of which gives values are all limited. I hope we understand the word, what it means to be limited. When you think about yourself from morning till night, as most people do, it's very, very limited. When you say you're Swiss, it's very limited. Or when you are proud to be a British, as though you are God's chosen people, that too is limited. So, opinions are limited. And when one sees that clearly, then one does not cling to opinions or the values that opinions have created. But then Your opinion against another opinion doesn't bring about peace. That's what is happening in the world. One ideology against another ideology, the communist, socialist, the Democrat, and so on. So please understand, if I may repeat again, that we are talking over together, and if you are adhering to your opinion, and I am sticking to mine, then we shall never meet. So there must be freedom from opinions and its values. Is that clear? Can we go on from there? That you are actually not holding back your opinions and use them as access to beat each other, to kill each other, but opinions are limited, and therefore they must inevitably bring about conflict. If you hold on to your conclusions, and your conclusions are also limited, another holds his conclusions, his experience, which are always limited, then there must be not only conflict, wars, destruction, and all the rest of it. If you see that very clearly, then opinions become very, very superficial, have no meaning. So please, when you are inquiring into what is peace and whether we can live in peace, don't have opinions about it. Be free to inquire. And in that inquiry, act. The very inquiry is action. Not that you inquire first and then act. But in the process of inquiry, you are acting. I hope again this is clear. That there must be freedom, which is the very basis of peace. There must be freedom from all the values of opinions, so that we can together, actually not theoretically, but factually, that you and the speaker have no opinions, which is a tremendous demand, because we live on opinions. All the newspapers, magazines, books are based on opinions. Somebody says that, you agree, and that's your opinion too. Another reads another book and forms an opinion. So please, to find out the true meaning of peace and the depth of it and the beauty of it and the quality of it, there must be no bias. Obviously, that's the first demand. Not that you must have faith in peace or make your life, the goal of your life to live peacefully, or search out from books, from others, what is peace, but to inquire very deeply whether your whole being can live in peace.
The third extract is from the fourth talk in New Delhi, 1972, titled Opinions Prevent Clarity of Perception.
Have you ever watched the operation of will in yourself? And have you ever gone into this question? What is the necessity of will at all? When you see something very clearly, is there an action of will? You understand my question? Look, sir, will as an act is a pattern of conformity. Conformity to a pattern, to an ideal, to a dictum. So, when you understand the whole structure of conformity, then is there an act of will at all? When you see something very clearly, when you see danger, physical danger, you act, don't you? Instantly. There is no act of will there. Your nervous response is immediate. Right? Now, is there an action in which will doesn't exist at all? Will is time. I will do that. That it demands time. And therefore, will is not action in the present. It's always in the future. So will implies contradiction. Right? So, meditation in daily life is acting, is action in which there is neither choice nor will. Because you see things very clearly. Right? Now, what does it mean to see clearly? How to observe yourself or a cloud or your neighbor clearly. Not only visually, but with clarity of a mind that is unconfused, with a clarity of mind that has no shadow. Now I withdraw that word. Is a mind capable of looking clearly without distortion? Distortion exists where there are images, in relationship or in action, right? I am related to you, and I have image about you. That image prevents me from looking at you. I have knowledge, experience of what you have said to me or done to me. That knowledge, that opinion that prejudice prevents seeing clearly, right? You understand the statement? Opinion, conclusion, concept, knowledge prevents, in relationship, seeing the fact. What is important in this is to see clearly. When that becomes tremendously urgent, then opinion, conclusion, judgment is put aside. Then you are looking. You got it? You understand, sir? Are we traveling together? Look, you have opinions, haven't you? Judgments, knowledge, both technological knowledge and knowledge in relationship, memory, in relationship. With that memory, you look. With the conclusions you have, with the images you have, you look. And therefore, you don't see clearly. When the urgency to see clearly, the intensity, the passion, the demand to see clearly, then opinion, judgment, conclusion have no place. Right? You see the truth of it. That you cannot see clearly where there is an observer who is the past. And to look without the observer. The observer is the me. Me, my opinion, my hurts, my longings, my ambitions, all my petty little demands. When that is dominant, when that is overflowing, there is no clarity in perception. So can you look at your neighbor, at your intimate relationship with another, without any conclusion, without any image? Now, you hear that and you say that's quite right, that is true. Then you will exercise will to achieve that. Whereas we are saying don't exercise will at all, but just observe. That is, you have opinions. Just observe your opinions. Watch it. And by watching it, not rationalizing it, not justifying it, just watching it, then you will see that opinions do not matter at all. Therefore, you are able to look clearly. You have understood what it means to look clearly, which is to observe without imagination, without contrivance of thought, without the me everlastingly operating in observation. So, behavior in daily life is the love of truth and action, which is not based on choice and will. Is that clear that I've explained? That is the foundation. If that doesn't exist in your life, do what you will. Follow all the gurus, all the systems, stand on your head, or I don't know, whatever you do. You will never know what meditation is. You will be playing around with words, with deceiving yourself. That is, you must lay the foundation of behavior in relationship. And knowledge is essential, not in relationship, but in carrying out certain functions. You've understood all this? Right.
The fourth extract is from Krishnamurti's second talk in Santa Monica, 1974, titled Opinions and Judgements Are a Barrier to Relationship.
When one begins to inquire, look, examine, this order must exist not only in contradiction within ourselves, but also in our relationship. Because all our societies is based on the outcome of our relationship. Not only with those who are close to oneself, but also the neighbor, whether that neighbor be 100 feet away or 1,000 miles away, is still our neighbor. And to discover and therefore learn what is a relationship in the context of freedom. Can there be freedom in a relationship? Or freedom is always limited where memory in relationship acts. I don't know if we are sufficiently serious enough to go into this question. And if we are, please, as I said yesterday, it's a matter of sharing. The exploration which we are doing, or the investigation, is a work in which we share together, in which we are cooperating to find out what it means and therefore learn freedom in relationship. And so what is relationship? Are we related at all to each other? Though we may have married, children, girl and boy and all the rest of that business, whether we are at all related. That is, to be in contact with, to understand the other, to have close companionship, to be able to have deep responsibility in that relationship. As I said, we're going to learn what this responsibility in relationship, in the context of freedom, means. One can make a statement, and as we are educated, and most unfortunately, to abstract from that statement a conclusion, then that conclusion becomes a memory, and according to that memory we live. That is, I hear you make a statement. And I draw a conclusion from that statement, which is an abstraction of that statement. A conclusion which is stored up in memory, and according to that memory and conclusion, I act. This is what we generally do. Because conclusions, we think, will give us security. It's a safe thing to have a conclusion about something. Therefore, it has become merely a knowledge, a memory, and therefore the learning comes to an end. Whereas if we could listen to a statement, please listen to this attentively if you will. If you listen to a statement, don't draw a conclusion. Right or wrong, agree or not agree, have opinions about, but just listen. And in the very act of listening is the learning, which is not an abstract conclusion. Because most of us, and most of our lives, are based on conclusions, a conceptual way of living. Not actual living, but a concept according to which we are living. That very concept and the actuality is a division, and therefore conflict and disorder. So what is relationship? Because it's one of the most important things in life. Because we cannot possibly live without relationship. All life is a movement in relationship. And without understanding the meaning of that word, the significance, the inward nature of that word, to bring about a fundamental transformation in society seems so utterly impossible. So it behoves us to understand the meaning and the responsibility that is involved in relationship. Are we ever related to another? Or there are barriers between us, between the man and the woman, between the neighbor and yourself, between another and yourself, and so on. If there are barriers which are essentially conclusions, then relationship doesn't exist. If I have a conclusion about you, which is an opinion, a judgment, an evaluation, an image about you, I obviously am not related to you. The barrier comes in between. And therefore, relationship has no responsibility except to the conclusion which I have drawn about you. Please do see this. If I have a conclusion about you, I am loyal to that conclusion. I am responsible to that conclusion. And I feel safe, secure in that conclusion. And I feel I am responsible, being to that conclusion, to you. And you have your own conclusions, opinions, judgments, images about me. And you are responsible to that image, opinion, judgment, conclusion. And yet we think we are related. So can the mind, observing this, not memorizing it, but observing it, learning about it, can the mind see actually if it is functioning, living in conclusions with regard to relationship? That is, to put it more bluntly and definitely, you have conclusions about your wife or husband, somebody else or other. You have them. And you are responsible to those conclusions, not to the person, but to the idea of that person. And so you have actually no relationship at all. And can that conclusion, opinion, judgment, image, to which you are loyal, to which you are responsible, not to the person, but to the conclusion, can that conclusion be set aside totally? And to prevent further conclusions being formed. Are we going together? Please do share this thing with the speaker. Both of us are traveling the same road. We're trying to learn on that road the question of relationship, what it means. Because relationship is one of the most important things in life. One cannot possibly escape from it. One can build barriers between each other. One can, as one does now, pursue each one's own idiosyncrasies, ambitions, pleasures, isolating oneself in relationship. That's what we are doing. Each one trying to fulfill his own selfish ends. Now we are asking two things. The conclusions we have made about the other, and to prevent further conclusions being made. I have conclusions about you, and undoubtedly you have about the speaker. Otherwise you wouldn't be sitting there. Now, can you put aside totally that conclusions? Otherwise, you have no relationship with the speaker. And therefore, no communication. And therefore, you cannot possibly share in what is being said. So can you put aside seeing the significance, the meaning of relationship, and that where there is a barrier of conclusion, image, judgment, which is really knowledge between you and the other, can you put those aside? And you can put those aside only by observing it, learning about it, not saying I must put it aside in order to have good relations. That is, can you observe in yourself the conclusions, the image that you have built about another, observe it without wanting to transform it, suppress it, deny it, or justify it. Just to observe. And can you observe without the observer, who is the very man, who creates the image? I hope you're following all this. You know, this is not a process of analysis. To me, analysis is paralysis. You laugh very easily, don't you? But yet that's what you're doing. See, analysis is really prevents complete action, which is a form of paralysis. You can postpone action through analysis. Analysis implies time, the analyzer, and the analyzed. And each analysis must be complete and right, true. Otherwise, what you have analyzed, if not complete, distorts the next analysis. And the analyzer himself needs analysis, professionally as well as for yourself. And It also implies time. You can take years and years analyzing and doing nothing about it. At the end of your life, you're still analyzing. And that is what is happening now in the world. And which seems so utterly, I was going to use the word stupid. It has no meaning. Perhaps it has a meaning to those who are somewhat neurotic. And perhaps maybe, as most of us are more or less neurotic, we think analysis is necessary. But if you go into this question of analysis rather deeply and clearly, you will see for yourself and therefore learn for yourself, not from the speaker. If you learn from the speaker, then it becomes merely the cultivation of memory. But if you learn in sharing the investigation of analysis, you will see for yourself the cause has its effect, and the effect becomes the cause for the next action. So it's an endless chain. Whereas if you look and see that analysis does not bring understanding and therefore perception and action. And as I said, we are not analyzing, we are just observing, looking at exactly what's going on. So can the mind, with its observer, which has drawn conclusions about the other, can that mind observe itself why it has drawn a conclusion? Because in that conclusion there is safety, security, which prevents relationship. And hearing that statement, not draw a conclusion, but see the truth of it. And seeing the truth of it and learning about it finishes the conclusions that one has made. And can you prevent other conclusions being made in relationship? Those are the two questions we have put to ourselves. To wipe away the conclusions that one has and to prevent further conclusions from arising. The further conclusions that arise can be prevented if at the moment of the word, gesture, or a look, you are totally aware.
The final extract in this episode is from the third discussion in Saanen, 1976, titled, Is Right Action Based on Judgment?
The question is, why human beings always judge or condemn or approve or accept Why is there this constant movement of appreciation or depreciation? Why is there this state? That's the question. Why do you think you judge? It's our tradition partly, isn't it? We are brought up from childhood to judge, to evaluate. Right? This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, this should be, this should not be. I am not good, I am bad, all the rest of it. This constant repetition of judgment. Is that an avoidance of facing oneself? You understand my question? I project judgment over everything, politics, economics, religion, God, no God, about everything, and projecting that I hide myself from myself. It's like a smoke screen I throw out, and behind that I refuse to look. Is that one of the factors? And is it another factor that it's much easier to judge? Judgment being opinion, prejudice, or previous knowledge. And that a reaction to previous knowledge is almost instantaneous. And so it's much easier to judge than to withhold judgment and observe, which becomes much more difficult. So is it an avoidance and an escape from looking exactly at what is? And is judgment in religious matters is tremendously potent. Because all religions judge. When you die, there is a judge, an entity who is going to judge you. You know, the Greek idea, all this is a form of judgment about you. When you go to appear at the gate of St. Peter, then he's going to judge you. And so on and on and on. Is that part of our great tradition? Religious, social, and also a partly avoiding to observe what actually is going on. If some of these are the facts, and perhaps more, is it possible not to judge at all, but to observe? I like that red shirt, or I don't like that red shirt. But without that reaction, just to observe, then I learn much more. I see that color totally differently. I don't know if you have noticed it. So, in behavior, that gentleman asked the question, what is behavior? What place has judgment in behavior? You understand? One judges behavior according to a traditional pattern. I get up when the ladies come in, open the doors for the ladies, this or that, various forms of behavior. Now, what relationship is judgment to behavior? You understand what I'm... You understand my question? And what is behavior? To behave, to act, really, isn't it? To act in my relationship with another, or with my friend, so on, so on. In relationship to act. Now, to act rightly, correctly, accurately, which is not judgment, is it? I wonder if you see that. We say behavior is action, right? Of course. Is that action based on judgment? Or is it accurate, correct, right? I'm using those three words which have the same meaning. So, when we use the word accurate, is that accuracy based on previous memories, previous activity, previous pattern, and then judge my action, right or wrong, good or bad? Or is action, correct action, incorrect action, there is no judgment? I'm finding something. What is correct action? Can I say previously, before the act takes place, this is correct action, this is the wrong action? You understand my question? I wonder are we meeting each other? I want to find out, as a human being living in this world, what is correct action? Politically, religiously, in every way, in all completely. Now, how am I to find out what is correct action? First, I must inquire if it is based on judgment. Judgment of others, or a judgment which I am going to impose on my action according to the pattern which I have developed. So, is correct action based on a judgment of others or on my own judgment based on experience, knowledge, and all the rest of it? You understand? Are we meeting? Yes? Am I acting because of environment correctly, or am I acting correctly because I have previous patterns of behavior? I wonder. Or is action independent of both? Action means the doing now, right? The doing now, active present, isn't it? The verb to act, and acting is the moment of action. If that action is based on the future, ideals, hope, judgment, then it's not acting, right? Or if that action is based on my previous conclusions, this is not acting, right? I wonder. If I act according to the past, it is not action. Or if I act according to the future, it is not action. Action being the active presence of that verb to act. Right? Action is only in the present. So, where does judgment take place? You understand my question? If I am acting without the pattern of the future or the past, then it is complete action. You may say that is wrong action, or another may say it's right, but it is action. I wonder if I'm making... So behavior is not based on the past pattern or a future ideal. It is acting now, whatever that action be in the present. And please see the importance of this. If there is no pattern of the future, according to which I am acting, or a pattern of the past according to which I am acting, then I am acting without motive, without the idea of a reward or punishment. So acting is now. So where action is in the present, freed from the past and the future, it is right action.